Hello and welcome to another AIC video. I'd previously done a hardware showcase of this Thinkstation P3 Tiny, and two things came of that. One, I had a couple of people criticize me for saying I was really excited to break into this and take a look at the internals and stuff. And I don't know why that made them mad. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. When I was a little kid, when people asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, it wasn't a doctor or lawyer or firefighter or anything like that. I wanted to be a guy who was the engineer who packaged computer systems. I've always thought that the way computers are designed, it was extremely fascinating. I didn't end up going to college. I didn't become an industrial engineer. And so that was not my fate in life, but I'm still extremely fascinated by it. The second thing that came of that is I only did half the hardware showcase. So I'm going to make that up here in this video, first and foremost. Second of all, talk about the system a little bit, and then we'll have some benchmarks at the end. I am so impressed by just how much performance they crammed into such a tiny machine. Now, there are some drawbacks to that, but we'll talk about that here in a second. But it is absolutely incredible just how small this is. And they have the Core Ultra 9 in here, which is a 125 watt CPU, but it can go up to 250 watts. And I have the power brick here. It's a 330 watt power supply, which is actually surprisingly smaller than the 400 watt power supply. I believe it's 400 watt for the Lenovo Legion I did recently. So that's one screw gets you this cover off, and that gets you access to the CPU and fan and the absolutely minuscule GPU. But this is kind of where I stopped. And that was a mistake, because if you flip it over, you can actually see a couple of arrows here, and this panel actually slides off, and I totally missed that. And here we get two RAM slots, which are SO-DIMM, so laptop memory. We have 32 gigs on board with a single DIMM. We could add another 32 gigs, and I do have another 32 gig of my own memory I could add, but I'm not going to at this time, because I don't want to forget it in here. I can't afford to replace it. But it lets you, this is where you get your CMOS battery, and you also get two more NVMe SSD slots. So you have up to 3 NVMe SSDs in here, upgradable to at least 64 gigs of RAM, probably 128 DDR5 DIMMs. So lots of memory, lots and lots of storage on this tiny little beast of a machine. Now, in my time with this, it definitely is not a consumer grade system. If we take this off, you can see the other SSD right there. This is not something that you would probably be buying for your home use, unless you have a very, very, very specific use case that I'm not familiar with, because the cost of this is very high, and the performance of it, while impressive with the CPU, is less than stellar with the GPU. And the GPU really exists for one reason, and that is to give you the compatibility you need with things like CAD software. Multiple high resolution outputs, but you're not going to be gaming on this. Maybe a little bit of AI on here, but not a ton. It just really isn't meant for that. Part of that is this RTX A1000 GPU only has 8 gigs of video memory, which is the same amount of memory I have for my P1 Gen 8 graphics card, and it definitely limits you on the size of model that you can run when doing any kind of AI work. So I could definitely see small scale stuff on here, but definitely not pushing anything big. Another problem with this system, I don't really want to say it's a problem, but something to note, is this fan gets loud. It gets really loud. The graphics card fan doesn't seem to be nearly as obtrusive, but this fan definitely moves a lot of air, and it does so and is not afraid of doing it loudly. So something to consider is this is not a quiet machine. That being said, I am still incredibly impressed by the performance that they're able to cram into this machine. Like I said, I'll throw some benchmarks here at the end of this video. And I really hope that a lot of these are bought by companies and then sold in 3 to 4 years used on the market, because I could definitely see something like this being an amazing machine for a home lab. I could definitely use it for that. With the amount of storage on here, the amount of RAM, this would make a great home server. So like right now, I have a Dell R620, or no, excuse me, T620, which is a 2 CPU, has like 12 slots for RAM. It's a huge tower. And something like this would do everything that does and more for a fraction of the size, a fraction of the power consumption, and honestly, a fraction of the volume sound as well. So I just, this goes for like $2,000 to $3,000 right now. And that's just a lot of money. And that's really it for me. Is this is an amazing tool, an amazing option, but for a regular consumer, the price just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But if you have a use case for this, if it's a business case, man, this is a cool machine with a lot of performance built in. And I definitely could see it being a benefit to those who need something like this. I unfortunately am just not one of them, as much as I would love to be one. Anyways, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, leave that down in the comment section down below. I will do my best to answer those. Definitely like this machine a lot. Not my typical fare in laptops that I normally do, but definitely check this out if you want a small form factor PC, because I don't know if you get much more performance for this small of a package. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.